Hi, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Harp of Your Spirit podcast. My name is Jessica Kako, and I am the Christian Studies Coordinator at St. Narsai College. Today, I have with me 5 of the most amazing Year 8 students at the college who have graced us with their presence to help us learn about what a saint is, in particular focusing on 2 saints, St. Peter and St. Yosip. So, before we get straight into it, I would love to introduce you all to our viewers. We've got Mariam, Jordan, Angelina, Mary, and Yosip. Thank you so much, Year 8 students, for being here. There's a particular reason I've chosen you, and that's because you guys have become the experts. All that we've learnt last term about both the saints, I thought you guys did an amazing job. So I thought, why not bring you guys in and get straight into it. So before we start speaking about who St. Yosip is and St. Peter, what is a saint, Year 8? I'll keep it simple and straight. Tell me.
A saint is basically someone who doesn't sin and is devoted to God and Jesus and follows in the footsteps of them.
All right, so they don't sin, they follow the footsteps of Christ, they're growing through Christ, which is our spiritual motto at the college. What else can you guys tell me?
They don't get persuaded by evil that easily.
Okay, they don't get persuaded.
They always preach to everyone the words of God.
All right, preaching the word of God.
They spread the word of God, and they are humble and they are kind.
I like those characteristics, humble and kind, because when I think of Mary Yosip and St. Peter, I think humble, kind, and spreading the word. So let's get straight into it with St. Yosip. All right, if you were to give me a biography, where was he born? When was he born at?
Well, he was born in 1893 in Baghdad, the suburb of Dora, in modern-day Turkey, in the village of Marisha, actually.
Okay.
And in the village of Marisha, he lived with 4 of his sisters, Simtu, Batu Khana, and Istar. And in fact, Simtu actually dedicated her life for Yosip to continue his career and cheer him up.
And help him in anything that he need. And
Yeah.
I know you guys mentioned Marisha. Angelina, what can you tell me about the Marisha village? Why was it named that?
There was a church there, and they named the village after the
It. So you can see how faithful that village was, that they named the church after him. Then you've got St. Peter. Mary or Jordan, what can you guys tell me about St. Peter?
St. Peter was born way earlier in the Galilean town of Bethsaida. He moved in with his mother-in-law after he got married and had children.
He also was one of the apostles of Jesus and was really with him for most of Jesus' life.
Okay.
And because of this, he got to witness Jesus' miracles, like the time Jesus walked on water. He was there and witnessed it, then went to go try it himself.
And I know in class we were discussing that St. Peter was lucky because not only did he have Jesus on one side of him, who else did he have there to kind of support him throughout the whole process? His brother Andrew, right?
Yeah.
St. Andrew, who also was a fisherman,
Yeah,
okay?
and they worked with his dad as well.
As a fisherman. So, Jordan, you just told us about the miracles that St. Peter performed, but viewed by Jesus. How about with Mary Yosip? What can you guys tell me about his miracles?
Actually, Yosip was in Syria visiting a village, and so he saw people from the village covering their mouths while they crossed the street. The reason that is because there were locusts that would disease them and go into their mouths. So what Yosip did, he asked one of the priests to get him the biggest one he could find.
Okay.
And so they found the biggest locust, and Yosip, he prayed on it and prayed, and then he said to it, "Schol eskara usi," which means in English, "Take your army and go away." And since that day, there have been no locusts at all.
At all. And not only, like you were saying, the health of people that was being affected, but also, what else was it affecting?
Yeah, the farming and
right?
everything,
Because all the Syrians that were living in that Khabur region, all their finances came from the farming and their
they
livelihood.
basically counted on it.
Exactly, and to have it not be able to use it would have affected them. How about with another miracle? What can you tell us, Angelina? Because I know there's something about the memory of Mary Yosip.
Another miracle was when he was visiting Jerusalem with one of his friends or relatives. He has never been there before, but he knew every path and direction and where to go.
And why do we find that such an amazing thing compared to today? We wouldn't find it a big deal. What's the reason for that?
Because back then there was no maps, no GPS, no internet.
At all, and he somehow knew the route. He knew where that church was, where to go, and everything like that. How about with, I know we were also discussing in class with making a little kid talk, Mariam. What can you tell us about that?
So there was this little boy, he was like age 6 to 7. By then he should basically know how to talk for words and language. So his father took him to Yosip, and Yosip gave him a lollipop. And the little kid, what did he say?
He said, "Yalla khala ruh,
Yeah.
which means let's go now. And so that's the first words he ever spoke.
And that's amazing. Just by Mariosip giving him a little
tune,
prayer, and he was able to talk. How about with St. Peter, Jordan? What can you tell us about him?
He performed lots of miracles throughout his life, and one example would be when a woman named Tabitha had passed away.
Yeah.
Her friends and family wanted her to be revived and brought back alive.
Okay.
So they went to St. Peter, and St. Peter went to where she had passed away, where the body was. He knelt down on one leg and prayed, then said, "Tabitha, get up." After he said that, she opened her eyes, and then when she saw St. Peter was there, she stood up.
And she was awake, alive and well, and back to her merry way, basically.
Yeah.
How about Mary with the coin? I know we had a discussion about that, and you explained it so well to the class. So why don't you explain it here for us?
So one day, St. Peter was going up to a temple to pray with another disciple. And on their way, they saw a crippled beggar. And then that beggar was telling them, "Oh, do you have gold or do you have silver?" Because he was crippled and he wanted money. And then St. Peter said to him, "What I have is worth more." So then he told the man, "Get up and walk," and the man just got up and started walking.
That's amazing. And I'm pretty sure the man would want to be able to walk than having money, right?
Yeah.
So we can see these miracles. Obviously, these miracles came from Christ himself. They were showcased through them. How do they devote their life as well? So obviously they were healing so people could believe in them, but how else did they devote their life to Christ or their faith?
Well, Yosip actually devoted his life to the Assyrian Church of the East. He learnt the gospel when he was only 12.
Not in even Book of Psalms, by how did you help the Assyrians, Yosip?
Well, and actually, when the war started, when the Turkish attacked the Iraqi people, so what he did, he believed in himself, and he tried to help 200,000 Assyrians to flee, and so but only 50 to 60,000 survived because most of them died because of dehydration, hunger, and getting killed.
And Angela, what can you tell us? Obviously, there's fear. As humans, we're obviously fearful of the unknown. But what did Yosip, you felt like, had throughout all these struggles that these Assyrians had?
He believed in himself and he believed in God to help him through all of it.
Exactly. It's all about that belief, having that faith. Now, then you've got St. Peter. Jordan or Mary, how did he devote his life? Because I know his name got changed and other. What's that, Jordan? You can tell us
his
about it.
name used to be Simon, but because Jesus knew he would end up being the Catholic Pope of the Roman Church, the first one, his name basically being the rock, his name was changed to Peter, which means rock, basically.
Rock. And in Assyrian, Mary, what are we?
Shumun Kippur.
Shumun Kippur, we call it. Okay, so we can see that devotion. You can see the miracles. You've seen what the characteristics of a saint is. What have you learned from that year 8? At the end of the day, when you're leaving that classroom, what did you learn from these saints?
I've learned to always keep my faith, and no matter what happens or if anyone tempts us to do something, don't fall in.
Excellent. Anything else?
Be kind and nice to the people that can't afford what you can.
So simple, but sometimes so difficult to do, right? All it takes is someone must be having a bad day and you're going to be kind, caring, helpful. Anything else?
Help those in need.
Excellent. And what do you mean by in need? What exactly does that mean? Because there's a lot of things that we need as humans.
You can teach them like the word of God and also just help them out with what they actually need as well.
Excellent. Anything else?
So to actually believe in yourself if like things are harsh on you, and you just have very strong faith and hope for the best.
Good. Angelina?
Always follow in Jesus' footsteps.
I love that one, because by following his footsteps, you're following his characteristics, you're following the words that he spoke. So it's all about that. How about anything else to kind of sum it up? Or
always be grateful for what you have, because it could be taken away in a second.
In a second. Excellent. Well, thank you.
And a fun fact, actually, when Yosip's mother knew she was impregnated with him, she started fasting and preaching a lot to God just so Yosip could be that successful.
All it takes is that fasting and prayer.
I think there's also a church in Cecil Park called St. Peter and Paul, and it's named after St. Peter.
So that's how we've dedicated our time and our efforts, is by naming churches after him. How about with Yosip?
With Yosip, it's in America and Arizona and California.
Beautiful. Well, there you go, viewers. I hope and pray that you've learned something from our amazing Year 8 students on what a saint is and who St. Peter and St. Yosip is. Thank you very much for your times.